I think out of all the options that were realistically available for the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, I think De'Anthony Melton was up there as one of the best options. And so this is objectively, I think, a good deal for the Warriors. And there's, some people will view it better than others. But I just think, I don't think you can see this as, being a minor step to a big hill that the Warriors have got to climb here to get back into some kind of relevance. Like, De'Anthony Melton isn't going to change the fortunes of the franchise next season, but he's objectively a good pickup. And it's in a position, obviously, at shooting guard where, Clay is left. You don't want to necessarily be wholly reliant on Brandin Podziemski or Moses Moody. You want to try and create a battle for the starting shooting guard spot next season. And De'Anthony Melton will certainly be a part of that. This is a guy I've mentioned in a couple of my writing pieces over the offseason as, a realistic target for the Warriors. And that's obviously come to fruition. But in those kind of pieces I've wrote about him, I kind of compare him to basically having another Pods. And I was kind of worried about the overlap between those two if they were both coming off the bench. However, one of them's probably got to start now, you'd imagine, unless the Warriors make another trade move somewhere else. So I think it's more reasonable now, the fact that one of them will start, one of them will come off the bench, one of them playing alongside Steph. And I think as much as we've heard that Pods will, potentially get that starting spot, and the fact that, the Warriors had prioritized starting Pods over Clay if Clay had stayed, I actually think Melton might have the inside running on. Well, I think he should have the inside running on that starting two-guard role. I think, obviously, in the starting lineup, you're going to need a bit more shooting. I think he's a more willing three-point shooter at this stage. You're talking about someone who battled with a back injury last season, only played 38 games, but he averaged 11.1 points, 3.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.6 steals, shot 36% from three on 5.6 attempts per game. He's 39% from three the year before in 2022-23. So probably a more willing shooter than Pods at this point. Probably also a slightly better defender than Pods at this point. And I just think, again, for what the Warriors need in the starting lineup, he's probably a better fit right now than Pods necessarily would be. But there's going to be a battle for that spot. And I think both of them, they are similar-ish players. I think Melton, again, is a better shooter, maybe a slightly better defender, but Pods does a lot of the intangible stuff, maybe a little bit better, drawing charges, rebounding, that kind of thing. Pods is also, and this is where another element that comes into it, I think Pods has got far more upside. Like, De'Anthony Melton can handle the ball a little bit, he can pass a little bit, which again is why I kind of compare him to Pods as like a kind of a do-it-all guard, kind of like he can do a lot of, doesn't necessarily have one absolutely elite skill set, but does, is able to impact the game in a multitude of ways on both ends of the floor. But I do think Pods has greater upside as a ball handler and playmaker. And I'm just wondering now if we kind of pigeonhole Melton as the Thompson replacement a little bit, whether or not we now put Pods into, and this is where I didn't necessarily want to get to this point, but maybe they're going to go into next season where Pods is just, pigeonholed as the backup point guard to Steph. And he is literally running the second unit. Now, I've said all along that I don't necessarily want that to be the case, for a team that should be in playoff contention with, a 36-year-old Steph Curry still being one of the top 10 players in the league. I don't think that having a second-year guard as impressive as Pods was, or rookie first team this season, I don't think having him lead the non-Curry minutes, lead the second unit is necessarily great. I think it could work. It's just a big risk, and I don't think it's a risk the Warriors should necessarily take, but maybe they're in a position now where we're looking at this team as, okay, they're not really going to be in championship contention unless another big move comes here. So, why not? Why not just hand Pods the opportunity? And we're talking about, like, he's on the Summer League roster. Summer League starts later this week. Maybe that's something where, he's just going to be for the whole of Summer League. Like, I'm kind of questioning why he's playing. Like, he was so impressive in his rookie year. Why does he need to play Summer League? Maybe it's to get those reps as, okay, you are our point guard in Summer League. You need to run everything, and we want you to kind of prioritize the ball handling, playmaking element. Obviously, shooting the ball a lot more as well is going to be important. I think there are obviously times last season where fans were a bit frustrated with Pods, passing up on open three-point looks. But maybe that's, something the Warriors are looking at. Hey, you're our backup point guard as Steph next season.